Jim Costin here.
Hi, Jim. How's it going?
I'm doing good today.
Excellent. Glad to have you with us. Jim, I want to start by getting a little bit of background on how you see Stilwell Hospital fitting in with your industry relative to other hospitals in the region as well as your local community.
Okay. Memorial Hospital is a 84-bed rural acute care facility. So they're a fairly small hospital in a fairly remote area. They are above average, I would say, in terms of utilization for a hospital their size. They have a very busy physician's clinic practice as well as the hospital. And they're a very well-managed organization, and we've been lucky to work with them.
Awesome. How do you see yourself fitting in with the rest of Stilwell Memorial Hospital?
I am the CPA for the hospital. I'm not an employee of the hospital. I'm a third-party contractor. We started doing their networking and computer work many years ago and got into that simply because there's not a lot of people that understood how the accounting softwares worked when accounting software started coming along. Computer people didn't understand it, and accounting people didn't understand the computer side of it. So we got involved with them and have grown with them over the years for all of their networking and computer needs.
Excellent. So what did you see as the basic issues with their network and IT security as a whole before you started working with Emsco Solutions? What was kind of the state of IT for them?
What we needed when we started looking for this project was, of course, all of the federal mandates that have started to require electronic medical records. So this has brought an extreme amount of technology into the hospital that didn't used to be there. And one of the infrastructure needs is wireless. And the hospital did not have wireless. We had a few little active spots here and there for different things, but we did not have guest internet. We did not have a facility-wide wireless activity at all. So part of this EMR stuff is making all of this technology available at the fingertips of the doctors in the rooms and wherever they are in the facility. So what we started looking for was a wireless solution that would handle that as well as be able to be managed remotely, because my office is an hour and a half away from theirs. And that at the time they did not have any IT staff on site. So anything that we could handle remotely would be was one of the big issues we were looking for.
So was Richard the first hire for Memorial Hospital in terms of full-time staff on site?
He is.
Okay, great.
He is. Matter of fact, I think it was his first week when we did the install.
So it was kind of a coordinated effort at looking at the deficiencies with the infrastructure as well as staffing up to be able to manage that on site as well as a remote solution?
That's correct. I remember Richard wasn't brought on because of the addition of the wireless. It was just as we have, exploded in number of PCs and tablets on site. It was becoming necessary to have somebody there to, troubleshoot. Why can't I print? Why can't I, find this file? That kind of stuff. So we brought Richard on just to help with that.
So when you were searching for answers to some of these problems, what options did you consider?
Well, I wanted to stay with with a well-known industry standard type piece of equipment. The major, for at least in the hospital industry, is the Cisco product. The only problem with that is that they are expensive. They're good, but in terms of managing switches and managing APs and all that type of stuff, if you're not a Cisco person and you don't know that programming language and managing those, it'd be very time-consuming and cumbersome. And the remote capability just wasn't there for what we were looking for. Then we came across, I actually found the Meraki product before they were tied with Cisco. When they came on board with Cisco, it was just kind of an added benefit because we know the company is going to be around, and they've got some more dollars behind them, so to speak. But it was the remote capability that we really liked with the units.
Yeah, it sounds like from what we're seeing with Cisco Meraki, in a lot of ways that could potentially disrupt Cisco itself. I guess the whole business model idea of tech companies where they're trying to be the disruptor of themselves to avoid being disrupted by external competition. So it sounds like in a lot of ways it was providing the best of both worlds for you.
It was, and one of my concerns up front was, okay, if Cisco absorbs these guys, how are they going to change the product to make it more Cisco-like and more proprietary for their technicians, if you will. But after reading many of the articles that Cisco put out about why they acquired Meraki and what they intended to do with it, that didn't appear to be their intention at all. They were looking for a remote solution that was economical, and that was kind of what they decided to do with it. So that made us comfortable, in moving forward with it.
So when you first started looking at the different options that could solve these networking needs for Memorial Hospital, as well as providing it securely, given EMR and HIPAA concerns and related healthcare IT issues, was cloud on your radar screen? Is the idea of looking for something that had cloud remote management capabilities?
It wasn't. I was looking for something that had remote capability, and I didn't realize when I first started looking there was a cloud solution available. But as we started looking for remote capabilities, that kept popping up. So it's like, all right, let's take a look at this and see if the technology is there yet to pursue this. And it was.
What did you find most remarkable, interesting, surprising about the whole planning and implementation process with rolling out the Cisco Meraki platform at Memorial Hospital?
It was very straightforward. It was very easy, and we had very few hiccups. We had a very aggressive timetable to get it in and get it up and running, and Emsco was great in that. We had no problems. They stepped right up. As soon as the equipment was here, we had already pre-wired the facility, so they came in, hung the units, and within a day and a half we were live. And we spent about 2 weeks testing the system before we released it out to the public. And once we brought it online, we have had no problems with it at all. It's been rock solid.
So if you're going to look to kind of document the best practices and the lessons learned about this project to go in and advise another similar 84-bed size hospital somewhere in Oklahoma or somewhere in your region, what would you advise them from the planning stages?
The most important one, of course, is with any wireless deployment is where the placement of the APs. Knowing the product and knowing what its range and what its capabilities are, and placing it in a proper location to be able to cover the areas you need covered is probably the most important. The setup of this particular system is, let's say, almost a no-brainer, but it is that easy. It's almost plug and play. These things come up, they pull their downloads, they attach by themselves. Once you farm out the IP addresses to them and set your parameters, which is really straightforward, it's easy. So the hard work up front is picking your system. What are you going to go with, and then having someone that knows the product well enough that they can say, here's where we need them. Hospital is a difficult facility to work with because a lot of them are older buildings. So you have a lot of cinder block. They have a lot of lead-lined walls, radiation equipment, things that emit lots of interference, and to be able to know the limitations of the equipment and where it needs to be placed in order to get the coverage that you need is critical.
So when you were planning this whole project, what process did you go through to select the technology partner for this? Not Cisco so much, but the VAR, the implementer support.
Well, I started online. I looked through kind of the major advertisers for the product online, if you will. Most of them were out of state. I talked with a lot of them on the phone. Some of them obviously weren't willing to come to Oklahoma. Some were, but didn't return phone calls timely or whatever. So I eventually called Meraki and said, "Hey, who have you got in the state of Oklahoma that can do this for me?" And they gave me a couple of names, and I had already called Emsco and got a return phone call from them the day I actually called Meraki, and Meraki had suggested them as one of the top few that they had in Oklahoma, and so I called them, and it was kind of straight along the line from there. Told them what we needed. They came out. We walked through the facility. I sent them a set of floor plans. They mapped out where the units ought to be. We walked through the facility, verified that based on where we might have interference, what rooms are more difficult than others. Made a few changes, ordered the equipment, came in, installed it, boom, we were done.
Now, since the Cisco, when exactly did the Cisco Meraki solutions go in place? What was the date or month that happened?
Oh, goodness. Without looking, I'm not entirely sure. We are probably, let me think. I believe we were August of last year.
Okay. So now that at least a few months time has passed with that going online, how would you say things are different at Memorial Hospital? How has the hospital benefited from this technology investment?
From the employee and physician, from the practitioner standpoint, it has made things much smoother and easier for them. They can go to the patient room. They have access to information at their fingertips. They can implement their drug orders at the bedside as opposed to having to check a patient's chart, go get the drugs, bring them back, confirm the people. They can do all that right at the bedside. From the patient perspective, they've been very happy because clearly people who are in the hospital or people that are visiting people in the hospital have a lot of free time, so to speak. So the ability to get online, watch a movie, look at the news, Facebook, Twitter, whatever they want to do with their friends on the outside, that has made it a much more pleasant experience for the patient as well to be able to do that.
So as I kind of alluded to before, if you were to template everything that you've learned over the past 6 months since the implementation and in the few months that led up to the implementation, if you were, say, giving a talk at a conference with CIOs and CEOs of hospitals, similar size hospitals, what advice would you offer to others in a similar situation that are trying to find the best networking and IT security solution for just any kind of healthcare related organization? And what would you say to them if they're getting pushback to go with more traditional legacy options?
Well, that's kind of a difficult question. Everybody's situation is a little different. But I see in most facilities we go to, there's Cisco products. Occasionally you'll find a Netgear, but almost all healthcare facilities run the Cisco product. I think if you're looking for a cloud-based, remote, manageable system that is now backed by the Cisco name, I don't think you can go wrong with the Meraki product. And if they're getting pushback from it, they've got that great trial system. They'll send you a unit out or as many units as you want out. To test them at no cost, put them up, hang them, see how they work, see how easy they are to use, and give it a shot. I think they'll like it.
Excellent. Anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I don't think so. Other than our value-added reseller, Emsco was fantastic in the process. We've had a great success with their help. They were responsive. Like I said, we had a very aggressive install schedule, and they were able to exceed that. The price was reasonable, actually less than what I expected overall on the deployment. and it worked out great. We're very happy.
Well, I thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to speak with us this morning. We've been talking with Jim Cosson. The name of your CPA firm is Cosson and Westhoff?
That's correct.
Great. And you work on a consulting basis in Stilwell, Oklahoma for Memorial Hospital. What's your title that you have there?
It's CIO.
CIO. Excellent. Appreciate your time. Thanks so much, Jim.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Take care now.
Learn how your hospital can implement wireless networking technology to achieve the same benefits as Memorial Hospital in Stilwell, Oklahoma. Sign up now for a complimentary technology review with Emsco Solutions at content.emscosolutions.com/TRC.